Good evening. Just about 2 minutes after 7, we are going to go ahead and get started with our meeting. Get things done and get back out of here. We got a big agenda tonight. We got things we need to do. Okay. I hope that everybody signed in. Make sure you signed in on the log. They're asking us to make sure we all sign in, even our guests that are here with us tonight, city employees and everyone to sign in. Okay? All right. Let us open up with an invocation, please. Our Father, we thank you for just letting us come into our CAC meeting one more time. We ask you to bless the citizens that are here, bless the city employees that are here, bless everyone that coming in to do their presentation for tonight. We ask you to come in and guide and lead us, that we may agree and disagree in love. And we ask you to bless the ones we have, many that are on the sick list, and we're just asking you to just put your healing arms around them. We thank you for everything you're doing, and when we leave this meeting, we ask you to give us traveling mercy, that we may arrive safely back in our home. This is our prayer, we ask in your name. Amen. Amen. Okay. I got a couple of remarks that I will make. First, I think most of you already heard that starting tomorrow, that the city will be doing their trash pickup at 6:30 instead of 7, to give the workers a chance to get out of that heat up in the daytime. So if you put it out on that morning, most of us in the Friday area and different things, recommend you put it out Thursday night so they can pick it up, because you'll be calling them if they don't get it. So make sure that they do that. Okay. I will go ahead and make some other information right now, later on. But we do have, where is the
Calvin?
Yeah, Calvin, yes. The one that's taking over from Adams. He just gonna come in and introduce himself. He will be here until August or September. Until September, I think. He's coming, okay. We need some more chairs. He being in a while, he get some chairs and just some more chairs. All right, while we're waiting on him to come in, we'll go ahead. She got that important phone call there. Kevin, you want to come on up and introduce yourself?
It kept coming out around. I don't know what.
How's everybody doing today? I just want to take the time to introduce myself. My name is Calvin Mitchell. I'm one of the directors down at Roberts Park Community Center, but I will be filling in for Adam this summer, so I'll be here for about 8 to 9 more weeks. So I just wanted to extend the invitation. If you guys need anything from me or from the community center, we have an open door policy here. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
What time you open up? What day?
Here? Oh, so right now we're open at 7 because we have summer camp. So but normally we don't open we open from 2 to 8 Monday through Fridays, Saturdays 1 to 5, Sundays we're closed. But we also do rental, so if anybody wants to do a rental, we can extend our hours. Just let us know. All right, thank you guys.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we do have an individual that, as you know, Officer Leggett told us last month was his, was his last time being here. He's going into a new career, and we wish him the best. And so we have his replacement that will be with us for a while. She's been around I'm not gonna even try to announce her name. I'm gonna let her do that. Then we'll all have it at the right time. Do you want to introduce?
Sure. Since I gave Taylor his outro, I'll introduce the new officer as well, but wanted to touch on a couple things first before she gets into the meat of the information. So we've got a couple things coming up with the police department. We still got our, what we used to call Games Over Gangs. It's now called Bridge to Computing camp that's going on. It's a 6-week camp that our district right here coordinates and runs, and we've got a bunch of boys from age 12 to 15 who are involved in that. There's 2 3-week camps that are going on, so we get them over to NC State where all the brainiacs teach them how to use the computer to code their own software games. So they're just loving this camp. We get over there and do some leadership classes with them as well. Get to interact with them a few times throughout the week. And they just, as you know, they just talk about it nonstop on the bus ride to and from the camp. So that one's going pretty well. We start up the next 3-week session next week. National Night Out is coming up Tuesday, August 6th. I know several of you in here may have been contacted by us, just talking to you about if your neighborhood is wanting to do something where you want the police department to come out and interact with the folks that live in your area. So we've got about, I think, 13 or 14 different neighborhoods just in what we call the Southeast District that are participating, and then there's several more around the entire city as well. And everybody from the chief all the way down to us lowly folks come out to interact with the residents. We get our canines, mounted unit, the SWAT team, all their stuff out, and whatever anybody wants to come out. So if you're interested in that, please contact one of us in the near future so we can get things set up for you. The last thing is a coffee with a cop that we've got coming up. A little bit of a drive from here, but it will be Saturday morning, July 27th at 8 a.m. And it's a new coffee shop that just opened up in our district. Pine State Coffee off of Automotive Way. Trying to remember what landmark to use to get over there, but it's right near kind of where Wake Forest Road and Capitol intersect. So we're excited to be joining forces with them to have a coffee with a cop there, and just be a bunch of us there, open for any discussion that you all want to have. That's from 8 to 10. It's free coffee and water. They do sell spirits there as well, so even though it's early on Saturday morning, but we've worked out with them at least the coffee and the water and the conversation. So without further ado, I'll introduce Officer Sandy Cinanni. She will be taking over from Taylor Leggett and be your point of contact for the time being. So I'll let her kick it off.
Right. Thanks. Glad to be here. If you didn't catch that, Cinanni is spelled C-I-N-A-N-N-I. So if you see it, that it kind of rings a bell. But you can call me Sandy. That's what most people call me. I've been with the department for 7 years, and all my time has been on patrol up north. So this community assignment is something brand new for me. So this CAC meeting type of thing is also new for me, so please just go easy on me. Next month, all bets are off. You can do whatever you want, but tonight, just let's go easy. Did everybody get a handout? We
Much more than that.
I'll go grab them and hand them out. Oh, we pass them around? Yeah. Just talks about some of the stats. And just in general, compared to last month, this month compared to last month, all the different crime categories were down except for robbery stayed the same. There was 4 last month and 4 again for this comparison. Then if you also look at, if we compare last year to the same time and then this year, everything was down except for larceny from a motor vehicle. We had 1 more incident of that, and the robbery situation. We had 0 last year, and we have 4 this year. But that just kind of talks about how, in general, it's just down a little bit.
Is this just a one-time occurrence where they don't have the summary on here? They usually have the summary on the back.
They have summaries
Yes.
of each incident?
No, there's
No,
usually a
total.
grid, like.
Yes, a grid like summary.
That has last month's stats and this month's stats, yeah.
That's usually on, okay.
Yes.
All right. We can make sure that that's on there.
Okay, thank you.
We did get the codes added onto the back there, and I know that's something you asked for last month.
Yeah, if you see that,
Same person.
you see that on the back? When
Yes.
you're talking about the keys, it kind of lets you know the disposition of each one. But since I am new to the area, this was the first time that I was going through the reports in this area, and really the bottom line that I felt going through this is that I think you guys are in a pretty safe spot and a pretty good spot in most of these situations, besides a couple of larceny of bicycles and so forth. And I know one person had their car window smashed and a purse stolen out of it, but most of this stuff is either people that they know or not locking their vehicles. I know that there were several guns in the last month that were stolen out of vehicles when they were not locked. So that's the biggest thing, is lock your doors to your house and your cars, and know your neighbors and your neighborhood. And if something doesn't look right, give us a call. Does anything stand out that anybody has any questions about? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question, but I would like to say thank you and welcome to our community. Just to let you all know, she already hit the ground running. She came and introduced herself last week. I was outside working, and she came back the next day to do some things in the neighborhood. So welcome. We appreciate you already.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Eugene, and I'm in Rochester Heights area. In Officer Lee, I used to just give his number just at random, but and I promise I won't do that to you just to start. But anytime you're in Rochester Heights, you just check in at 1913 and we'll talk.
Okay. Yeah. I am getting to know my way around, so that actually rings a bell.
You
I
okay?
think it's off of Garner Road.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yep. But that's the hardest part so far for me, is trying, you get so used to driving the same streets for all those years, you can get it with your eyes closed from one place to the other, and now it's just starting all over again, so that's what's taken me the longest, I think.
Okay.
How many people are going to be participating in the National Night Out? Okay, sure.
Give the date again, please.
For the National Night Out, is it August
August
6th?
August
6th.
August 6th.
Any other questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
So, did you volunteer to come to this area, or did you? What? I'm asking. Okay.
Well, the way that it works is that I had applied for the position of community policing, and you don't know where you're going to be sent. And so I did get sent to the southeast, which from the north, which I was happy about. I wanted to come down here. It's closer to home. I've lived in the southeast district for many years, and I did pick the South CAC myself.
Was that a good answer?
Yes.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
We are going to be opening a new school right off of Rock Quarry Road for this coming fall. Will there be an increased police presence through there? We already have the school signs up, and also the reduced speed signs are already in place. But if you've ever been through there, people blow through that light that's right there at near the belt line. It's right where you enter the complex where our central services is located, and it's directly across where the YMCA and Southeast Raleigh Elementary is. People come over the bridge from the belt line, and they literally blow through that light continuously.
Yeah, we can definitely work on that. I know that several of us that have just come over to this community squad are certified in radar and LiDAR, so we can certainly do speeding projects and so forth in that area. That's a new school, you said?
No school in the Y down there.
Oh, it's the one that's in the Y,
Right, yes.
connected with the Y.
Right.
Shares the building with the
Yeah,
wall.
that's it. I got it. Yeah, I was reading an article about that one today. I'm
But we,
interested in that one.
For your information, we had the same problem every time the Southeast opened up.
Yeah.
So they've been doing a good job. at a time when Southeast opened up to have a radar out there, do something to try to speed them down. And then we come to find out, even on Sanderford Road and everything, we found out that it seemed like people just love to pay that $50 ticket. So one report was given by Leggett. I think one time we had 20-some people on Sanderford Road, and about 18 have already been paying tickets for the speed. So they just love to get the money to the city. So, you know, no, that's a good thing. But they be doing a good job of that, and now we include that area down there because they open up in August.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right. They
And
open
people
in-
might just not be as aware of it, so if we can get out there
There you go.
ahead of time and try and get on that. And sometimes the speeding tickets in the school zone are a little bit stiffer, and people aren't quite as happy to pay those tickets.
That's right.
Well,
You better
the
believe
new
it.
speed signs are already in place,
Yes,
and
they
the
are,
markings
so
are
on that.
already on the pavement, but people fly through there. And occasionally, if you're coming out from the complex where our school system central service complex is, facing the new elementary and the YMCA, you can be the third car coming out of there. Cars will blow in between you. So you have to basically do the windshield wiper motion as you're coming out of that complex anytime you're coming out of there.
Yeah.
All right. Again, I would just like to say welcome. And if you have a card or something, we give, I don't know if you can give to the secretary or me. All right, we can have it. And we need your card again too, right? I know you get one every time you come, but yes.
Any other questions?
Okay, again, welcome, and,
I look forward to working with you guys. and I'll see you
okay,
next
all right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Fabian, you're for code enforcement.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you guys are doing all right tonight. I'm Fabian Rodriguez. I am your housing and neighborhood inspector for this area. I'd like to start by thanking you for all the concerns and feedback that you send us every month. Believe it or not, that makes my job a lot easier. When you see public nuisances or vehicle nuisances that are a concern to the society, when you let us know, that makes our job much easier to come and clean those neighborhoods for you. Again, our phone number is 919-996-2444. If you'd like to report a possible housing violation or a public nuisance, or even if your neighbor has too many vehicles without a tag, the city allows only one vehicle to be unlicensed or unregistered per parcel. So if you see that, by all means let us know. You can also go into our website, the City of Raleigh website, and send us a request. You can do this anonymously if it makes you feel more comfortable. You can do it either way, a phone call or the website. Last month we had two major concerns. One was for the sidewalk on Rockwell Road that was full of mud, encroachment of vegetation and some litter. The property owner for those apartments complied with the city. They took care of those issues, so the sidewalk is walkable now. And then out of Winfield, there was a concern for tall grass on a vehicle. We are addressing that right now. The city will mow the grass for that property since the house is vacant. Nothing we can do for the vehicle since there's only one that is unlicensed and registered, so they're okay. Today I received a phone call regarding branches and limbs that were encroaching from one private property onto another private property. So again, remember, this is a civil matter. If your neighbor has a tree or branches that are encroaching onto your property, the city cannot get involved in that matter. We can get involved if there is a tree that belongs to your neighbor or the city on the right of way and is endangering the possible sidewalk or the pedestrians or any vehicles going through that street. So if you have a concern about a tree that is on the right of way, by all means give us a call. Do we have the number for the arborist on the?
Yes, you gave it to us last month.
Okay, so feel free to always call the city, the arborist department, they will come.
Was that 996-4115?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's what you gave us last month.
But if there is a tree, just re-mentioning it, there is a tree branch or a tree that is encroaching onto your property from your neighbor's yard, talk to your neighbor. you might have to take him to court if that goes that far, but that's what you would have to do. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I live in the Russia Heights area, off of, Callaway, coming off of Garner Road. If you take a right, you can see the 40 overpass.
Okay.
Several people have, when they put their brushes and stuff like that, they put it underneath that bridge there. And I've seen for the past couple of days, you know, the trees has been kind of growing up where they're dumping those trees underneath the bridge. So what could be done about that?
I believe that would be a state maintenance issue. However, let me check on it, and if need be, I can contact the state to get that in for you.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure that would be a state maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
Since it's the interest rate.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear you mention Evers Drive 2404 and 2408. Both of those houses are rental houses. They got debris and trash that's on the sidewalk and in the street. Those need to be taken care of because I'm sure you need to probably contact the landlord because they are not taking care of the yards. And when they did make an attempt to rake the yard, they just raked the debris and stuff in the street.
I did see that, and solid waste services is gonna be picking up those two properties. I think it was some furniture. And the other one was
Most of the
branches.
furniture's gone, but it's a bunch of limbs. The street can't even be swept. The curbside can't be swept
Yes.
because it has built up over time.
Yeah, I did see that. I forward that to solid waste services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've always had a complaint about 741. It's getting so that we can't even come out our driveway because they have so many trucks and cars, and even over the weekend, it's lined it up.
741.
Fitzgerald Drive.
For vehicles on the street.
Not on the street, in the driveway.
In the
They
driveway.
have several trucks in the driveway.
I understand.
And once we come out our driveway, we cannot see over the trucks.
Okay. So that would be a zoning regulation, ma'am. The zoning number is on the agenda. However, I can contact the director there and give him this address. And the minute you see a violation, please contact them directly. Also, if there is any vehicles on the street that are possibly blocking the right of way, blocking the street, please contact the police immediately.
Okay.
Whether that is a regular weekday, whether it's a holiday, a weekend, the minute you see somebody blocking the street or your access, contact the police. And then for the work trucks, if they're, for example, parking onto grass, the city has regulations for parking on grass areas within the parcel. So again, do contact zoning department. They're the ones that have the enforcement to take care of those issues. Are there any other questions or concerns?
This is not in our area, but on Colleton and Milburnie, right there across from Larry's, that whole area needs to be cut back. Trees are just hanging over in the street, and it's difficult to get by.
Do you have the office number for that? If you want to write it down, I can give it to you again. Is that 996?
996-41-15?
No, 2444. That would be for the Code Enforcement Division.
Okay.
Give us a call there. If it's a large area, we might have to work with the Arborist Department.
Okay.
But just try to get an address if you can. And do give us that address when you call to make it easier for the inspector to find that parcel.
Okay.
All right.
Also, I will notify the East CAC and Danny Coleman's CAC because that area all falls within that area. So I would notify them that we brought it up at our meeting. We had a concern about it.
Do you have a phone number?
I don't have Danny's phone number today. But I'd say I would notify for you on that.
Okay.
Because we cleaned it up once before we had a problem.
Right.
Okay, and I was on the city council, yeah. So
Thank you.
I'll get in touch with those two chairs and take care of that, like,
Thank you very much.
let you know about it, okay?
Thank you for your time. Oh, yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm just not sure if, the location is the corner of Creech and Sanderford Road. If that is Raleigh or Garner. It's a house there, got a lot of broken down cars, right before you get to the cemetery. On the right.
It's a,
Oh,
that is, it's a county line.
That's a line
It's a
there.
line there because we tried to get the sheriff and the city police to work together on a place we were trying to close down. That's when we got into it. But that there is it's still that is something you find out to see if what she's talking about if that's the city, because we had the city to come out on some apartments there on that other part where we got to the
So, that area would be called ETJ. That's outside the city, but we still have access to that area by complaint. So I received a complaint. That address is 3023 Creek Road. And we have currently a zoning case going for that property. They had 7 vehicles that need to be removed. And so they have 30 days. I'll be back sometime in July, I think it's July 15th or something like that, to check on the compliance of those vehicles. But I did get a complaint for that.
There's a house on Seabrook and Evers Drive, right down that corner. And I'm thinking that they're doing business out of that place.
It's in the residential district, but it's a business.
Zoning department would be the ones that handle any businesses in the residential area. And the number is on the agenda.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
give them a call, give them an address, they'll come and check it out.
Thank you.
Do they put cameras in front of gang areas they need to take pictures of? On St. Augustine over there, there's a lot of crime over there, like, and do the police put cameras there? Who would I see to catch them if they come out from the gangs or what?
I don't know, man. I don't know, maybe, I doubt they put any cameras.
Yeah, there's take a camera and put it in somewhere, because a lot of gangs hang up in that street. But that might help. Do the city put that out, or put it out? Put like cameras in.
That's a difference.
Okay, okay. I was asking a
This
question.
zoning, I'll be talking to the officers back there.
Okay,
We'll get
okay,
it.
thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again.
Is zoning and city planning the same?
They work together.
Oh, I'm just asking because you said zoning was on here. And
It's
I
not.
see city planning, but I don't see zoning.
I can give you the number. I thought we had added it to the,
I'll make certain that it's there next month.
I'll look for it and give it to you in a minute, so you can continue. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. All right. Right now, our community analyst is coming up to give us an update on something. Right, come on.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Pam Adderley. I am your community relations analyst, so I'm your liaison to any city services or resources. So just have a few updates for you guys. Your CAC promotional items came in. So your books are in, your bags are in, your feather banners are also in. Now, there was some concern about the quality of the bag, and I shared that with your chair. It's not exactly what we were expecting. So I have put in a complaint with the company, and they have offered a credit back onto your guys' account. So your chair has requested that credit be placed. So I'll check with them. I don't think that they'll want the bags back. I don't know what they would do with them. They haven't asked for them back.
but I will let them know that you want the, that you guys want the credit, and then you'll have the option to, get something else. But Mr. Rodman, if you'll help me with the feather banners. And so we were gonna set it up, but remember, you guys have the one that goes into the dirt, so I couldn't do it. But you guys have two banners. One says, it announces the meeting for each month, all right? And then the other says next Monday, or second Monday. Okay, so, okay. All right, so, yeah.
We got to go. You know her is going to
So this is what it would So
where will it be posted?
At the center.
right.
Okay.
All right, so that's the one, right? The second Monday, each month at 7. And the other,
You got it right.
There you go.
all right. And this is your other.
Okay.
So you guys decide when and where you all want them.
Okay.
Okay, also, it's time for you guys to begin discussing how you'll spend your next $1,000, because you got that in your account on July 1st. And so I don't know, I know there was, at one point you guys had a committee that you guys trusted to make decisions for you all. So I don't know if that's what you're gonna plan to do this time, but when that time comes, I created a guideline form that also has a sample of what the budget should look like, and it has a checklist, so just to help you along. But I'm always available to help as well, okay? So if you guys decide to go that route, please let me know. I'm gonna give a few of these copies to your chair, but just let me know, and I'll make certain that, you know, I set aside time with you to make the decisions, and also help you look for resources. Okay? I'd like to remind everyone that in the neighborhood that you live in, hopefully you guys are all registered neighborhoods with the city. But if you are not, if your neighborhood is not on the Raleigh neighborhood registry, please speak with your neighbors, come together. You only need 3 neighbors to organize to become a registered neighborhood, so that you can benefit from some of the resources that the city has to offer for free for you all. Okay, so please give me a call. If you're not sure if you're registered, you can go on the city's website, look under your CAC. It will list all of the registered neighborhoods there. So please give me a call. I'm happy to help you get registered if you're not already. Okay? Any questions for me? Any questions for me? Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am,
Thank you.
I did make one correction. I just informed, went back to the minutes, and our vacation month is August, not September. Okay.
All right.
Vacation. The reason why we didn't have one last because we had election.
Right.
But for 2017, it was August.
Okay, so you all won't be meeting next
I want
month.
to say yes. Next month we have our vacation month, and we come back in September.
Okay.
I will. Okay. All right. Robert is passing out the books for you. Right now. All right. Going right along with our agenda. The Southeast Raleigh Parks and Recreation Site Construction and Renovation Project. I think we have someone from the city who is Wallenbeck. Is he here? Yeah. Okay, you want to come right over here to the side of Geri. Okay. And I had talked, for your information, I had talked to the Scott Payne, and some people asked the question, the timeline. So let's make sure we stay on task with this. He's supposed to come in and give us a timeline about Chambers and Biltmore. Let him give his presentation on each one of them. Then we ask the question. Then I know we got to get into the tennis court part. But let's go. People have been asking questions. Back in 2014, and I'm saying we started on the Chambers project. At the same time we started on with the Barwell project just before that, for the tennis court, before they moved it over there. And then people was asking when were they going to start with the project over at Chambers. And that's why we asked you to come in and give us an update on the timeline for the beginning of the project there and the beginning of the project over at, for your information, I think at one of our, not our meeting here, but at another meeting that I attended, the city councilman stated that they overbid it on the project at Chambers.
Right.
And it was $3 million over. My question was, $3 million over for the city of Raleigh shouldn't have to hold up the construction of a project. And then I saw on the news where the city council went on to say they're fine. I don't know if you saw that.
Yep.
That they would go ahead and approve the $3 million that was over and go ahead and try to move their project. I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah.
I'll just give you your background.
Yeah, thank you. And some of this you know better than I do because you have some history with these projects. Thanks everybody. My name is Luke Wallenbeck. I'm a project manager with the City of Raleigh Parks Department. So I'm going to give an update on some of the projects that are happening right now in Senate CAC, and then some that are also on the fringes. So I'll touch on a few projects, including what's happening here at Sanderford Road.
Oh,
Am I hitting?
okay.
Oh, okay. Different. Wouldn't be a presentation of mine if all technology went smoothly. Let's try it now. Yes. Okay. So those projects I'm going to talk about include Sanderford Road, Biltmore Hills Pool, Biltmore Hills Community Center, Biltmore Hills Tennis Center, the Walnut Creek Wetland Park, and John Chavis Memorial Park. So in each of these parks we have improvements and renovations that are happening. So Sanderford Road Park, if you take the Greenway path back, we recently had fire damage to the comfort station and picnic shelter building. So right now staff are already have somebody under contract working on the design of the new shelter and the new bathroom building. And we're trying to get someone under contract to demolish the existing structure and remove that safety and eyesore in the meantime. What we're looking at is building something that looks similar to these things. So the shelter that you see on the left is a nice large shelter, lots of space for picnic tables. It's also metal, so it doesn't, it won't burn, which is nice. A nice feature there. Then we're also going to install a separate, so not joined together, bathroom building. And this is the bathroom building that we're installing in our parks now. So you may have seen something very similar to this in another park. Worthdale has the same bathroom. So schedule looking forward, hopefully we'll have the building demolished in September or just before. We're working on design and permitting now and expect that to be also done in September, and then begin construction in the winter, around January. There are also, I will mention, I have heard there's issues with the lighting in the parking lot as well. So oddly enough, some of the lights in the parking lot were connected to the transformer that is at the bathroom building. And so our project manager for this project is working to resolve that issue on a faster timeline. So hopefully those parking lot lights will be fixed in the next month or two. Okay, so Biltmore Hills Park, we have 3 separate projects that are happening. Good news, the pool is open. It opened on June 27th. Actually, my daughter has a swim meet there on Thursday. There was renovations done to the pool. A lot of it was more infrastructure, facility, concrete improvements, things like that. Also, the community center is going to be renovated. The contract was just executed at the last council meeting for the contractor, and construction is going to set to start right when camp ends. So we don't want to get in the way of camp. So that first week of September, staff will start getting everything moved into a safe place so that the contractor can then come in the second week of September. And the contractor has a 5-month period for construction. Did you have a question, Mary?
Will there be air conditioning?
Yes. So the elements related to the project are HVAC in the gym, so that's heating and cooling. We're renovating all the floors and the corridors. We're going to renovate the entryway. That'll be a new reception desk. The bathrooms and locker rooms will all be gutted and then come back with new tile and fixtures and everything. We're going to have a new vestibule on the front, so when you see it from the outside, you'll know that some renovations have happened inside, and that also helps with air quality. It'll be a double door situation. I think that's the bulk of it. There are some other ADA improvements to the kitchen and things like that.
Excuse me, is
Yes.
it gonna remain one level?
Yeah. All right, tennis center expansion. We just have received our 60% design package from the consultants, and we're reviewing that right now. If you remember, it was an 8-court complex. I think I might have another slide or two about it. And so at this point, we've worked through a lot of the big issues as far as access, for lighting, for maintenance, how the new courts and the old courts are going to come together. And what else? There's been a lot of grading and issues related to how we're going to make that fit nicely into the slopes of the park as well. And then, so right now we're evaluating the 60% design set, working through cost estimating as well. So the consultant has submitted one. We've also hired a third-party engineering firm to do a separate estimate on the project, so we have all that information to consider. And then we'll move into construction documents. We anticipate the construction period to be April 2020, so
What is that
next
last?
spring.
What is that last date supposed to be?
Spring
Spring 2021? Is
Yes.
that supposed to be 2021?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Good catch. We're gonna. All right. So this was the schematic design that was approved, and it shows you the existing 8 courts, 1 through 8, and then closer to the north, the other 8 courts, so 2 banks of 4 courts. It shows the improved circulation throughout the whole thing, so it feels and knits together like one tennis complex. And then the improved entry and parking. Walnut Creek Wetland Park. So Walnut Creek is, interestingly enough, half in South CAC and half in Central CAC. So this one is also in the design phase. Schematic design was just completed, and they're looking at this first phase is looking at how to get people more access into the wetlands. And so part of the design was different types of platforms and boardwalks, essentially, from the existing center and from some of the surrounding streets into and through the wetland. So what you see on the left here is a boardwalk that we like the design of it, leaving from the center, and I'll show you where that is on the next drawing. And at the bottom is more of an open platform where kids can get closer to nature, closer to water, and that would be in areas where it's much shallower and safer to do so. The other good thing about that design is that if there is a big flood, things will just go over it. The areas where we have railings would be more in the areas where it's less likely to flood. So I'm told. This is not my project, but I got a brief from the project manager. So what you see here is the center at the top, and the brown boardwalks are the proposed access ways into the wetland. On the south is the platform for education, and the northern part is the longer boardwalk experience through the wetland forest. The schedule on that project, right now, like I said, they just finished schematic design, so they're about 30% through the design process. And they'll be moving to finish that design and construction documents and go into permitting and bidding. Schedule on that is spring 2020 to fall 2020. Okay, and then John Chavis Memorial Park, again, just outside South CAC. We have good news on that one. We bid the project on April 25th and received 4 bids. There was some back and forth with council on those bids, and the lowest bidder that was deemed responsive was over $3 million, about $3.5 million over budget. So that's one of the things we're seeing in all of our projects, and all the other departments are seeing in their projects as well right now. It's a really challenging time to build construction because everybody's building. You see the towers and the cranes everywhere. And so we've been continually trying to reprioritize and move funds as each project bids to try to cover the gap. But we'd already done that with this project a number of times to try to cover that gap. And at this point, we didn't have any more money. So there was a few options that council could have chosen. They could have chosen to rebid the project and see if we got some lower bids the second time. They could have chosen to take things out of the project so that we, $3 million worth of things out of the project, or decide to fund it out of a separate fund. And so ultimately that's what they chose. They are covering the gap and giving us just about $3.5 million so that we can move forward with that second lowest bidder. And the great thing about that for the community is that we can move that much faster. So we're already talking to the contractor about getting under contract, doing our pre-construction activities, and planning to get moving. As part of this project, we're gonna build a new 2-story community center that's about 43,000 square feet. It's got a full-size gym, lots of classrooms, multi-purpose rooms, big meeting rooms. For us, this is really a destination park. So you can see the extra detail in the design. There's going to be public art as part of the facade as well. And another thing in the project is renovating your historic carousel house. So right now, it's just a shell. It's empty inside with a dirt floor. But it will be the interior will be renovated so it can be rented for meetings and for any kind of event with interior bathrooms. Also on the outside, there's going to be exterior bathrooms. So if you're in the park with your kids at a playground, you have to use the bathroom, you can just go to the carousel house instead of going all the way to the community center.
Where is it located?
This carousel house?
The park.
Yeah, it's kind of in the northern part near Chavis Way and the playground. There's 2 other major elements as part of the project. One is a significant interactive water feature or splash pad. So this is an image showing a splash pad with the number of jets that we have in the ground. And it also has lighting built into the jets, so at night when we want to use it for a special event, it's going to look spectacular. And it's computer controlled, so you can do different kinds of patterns with how the jets come on and what they do. And there'll be buttons for kids to turn it on and turn it off. And the good thing is also, when we want, we can turn the water off. It's all flush with the ground, and it can be used for any kind of other event. It's just a big flat space right in front of the community center. And then the 4th element of that project is a large playground that will be in the exact spot where the existing playground is, but just much more intense as far as the types of play experiences that kids can have. There'll be things for young children that are that need that safer, quieter, smaller spaces, and natural spaces. And then there'll be things for big kids, so things that you have to get on that spin around, or really tall climbing things. One of the things that was important in the project was something really unique. And again, it's a regional draw, so we have this large climbing structure called the Skywalk, where kids can climb up through various ways and then walk through a tunnel 15 feet off the ground and have a few different elements, slides and things to get off of it. So it's going to be amazing. And I'm really glad that council has decided to fund the project, and again, it'll be able to deliver it that much quicker.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Where's that splash pad go?
I should have brought a plan. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm realizing I've presented this project so many times, but to this particular group I haven't presented it. I don't know if anyone else has. So basically, what you see here is this new community center, and then right in front of it is that plaza. Yeah, where Mr. Weeks is pointing right there. So you come down those steps, and then there's your splash pad and plaza.
Oh, there's the left where the tennis courts were.
Well, the community center will be where the tennis courts is. Yeah.
They're going to take away the tennis courts?
Tennis courts are gone.
Completely. How about the track?
Track stays. Yeah.
How about the soccer field in the front?
There's a baseball field.
Well, it's
Yeah, that's baseball.
baseball. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, it's sort of the center of the park is what's going to be renovated in this first phase of the master plan. And this is a response to the master plan that the community had prioritized what they wanted done first. So phase 2 is an aquatic center, is one of the biggest elements of that, renovating the track. There's some picnic shelters that need some TLC. There's a lot of work to be done for sure.
How many acres is this park?
It is just shy of, I want to say it's like 36, 35 acres, something in that neighborhood.
So they're not going to relocate the tennis courts, they're just going to get rid of them?
Yes. There's 4 courts there now. 2? Oh yeah, 2 courts. So schedule on that one. Right now, like, we're in contracting, and we anticipate starting construction this fall. And it's going to be about a 20 to 24 month construction period. The other thing I wanted to mention that council was very adamant about was that the community center needs to stay open during construction. So when the new center is complete, then we'll demolish the old center. I think those are the main aspects of the project.
Then what?
So we're anticipating that voting will still occur there at the existing center?
When it's complete, or during construction?
During construction.
We've been talking with the Board of Elections back and forth on that, and keeping them up to date on what's happening in the project, so I don't know where that is right now. Because it's been kind of a long period of figuring out, are we going to start, are we going to not start?
I'll ask one more question,
Yeah.
I'm trying to shut up. Are you increasing the parking there? Because the
No.
parking gets...
So,
On your question, we've been working with, even for Diane left, we were talking about, they started construction, as long as they leave the park before we're supposed to do our early voting and everything. I think that's what he was trying to say, but we've been talking about that way before this came up, to make sure that they didn't close it down during the month of October. And if they can't do construction on the other side, they decide when we go in and vote and move that out, and so we can go in and do early voting. So just like he said, the Board of Election, they did approve, if I'm not mistaken, it's coming up pretty soon at the Board of Election on the early vote sites. So I'll be there for that.
Look, did they not add additional parking because they don't have the space, or what? Because there's really inadequate parking there.
is that right?
Yes.
I know that additional parking wasn't required as far as the the code.
Well, you're gonna have this nice establishment, but nowhere to park.
Yes, we're trying to shoehorn a lot in.
Oh.
So I hear you. We have, I think there's around 175 ballpark spaces, if I had to guess. And then quite a bit of parallel parking on Chavis Way. I guess that's
Yeah,
where we
Chavis
stand.
Way is about it beyond that bottom parking lot there.
Yeah. So both parking lots as they are now will be basically what we have when it's done. Yes.
Let me bring up something. The people asking questions. Remember Virginia, Tally, and the group from from over there met for 18 months. We had what they call a partnership. They met for 18 months on what they wanted over there. And you heard it was stated some stuff were eliminated, some things were added. So they met for 18 months and then they presented it to the parks people. Then they went back with the drawing. Just like I said, there's more than one phase in this, because if you go back to your park bond referendum, don't forget, in the park bond referendum, it was approved by the citizen 13.1 million for this part. So just remember, the community over there engaged in this and they closed it out in December of 2014, presented to the city and went forward with that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So they were involved with it. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about what you started out with earlier, the Sanderford Road shelter.
Yeah.
And you said that the shelter, instead of it being wood, is going to be metal.
Yes.
The way storms are occurring now, you don't even see the light of it until it has actually struck. How is that going to make that area safer if it's going to be all metal?
You know, I've never had that question before. I think that's a good question. The posts are metal, the framing is metal, and then it would be standing I'll have to do some research on that. Again, that one's not my project. I don't have an answer for you.
All right, well.
So stay tuned for more information as we hit these milestones of projects. We'll be back. And appreciate it.
Phase 2.
Where?
Phase 2. You were talking about phase 2.
Yeah. That is, right now there's not funding for phase 2 design or construction. That would be the kind of project that would have to be included in the next Parks bond. So that's where that stands right now. Yes.
The Chairperson project, again, you designate a destination one and you have these new features that are going to attract people to. Do you think maybe you guys need to plan for better parking along with this thing? Since the purpose for everything you're doing is to attract people there, but you don't have a place for them to park.
I hear you. As this project right now, it's already been through design and permitting, and we have a contractor on board. The project's not going to change. If we see that parking is continually an issue, that's going to be something serious that we have to address. Absolutely. The community, the neighbors around it won't be happy if it's a sea of parking all the time. Some of that I think can be controlled with programming, making sure that there's not too many activities happening at the same time that draw a lot of people.
So just restrict the
activity. Be strategic about that.
Okay, I hear you.
But yeah, we're somewhat limited with the amount of square footage that's there. So.
Okay.
Do you mind taking back that thing we mentioned about the safety of
the shelter? The
shelter, and also go back and take it back as far as the parking and things.
Yeah.
Again, if you take those two things, I would appreciate that very much.
Great.
Just address them. See what their comments are.
Okay.
It would be a shame to have such a nice building. Nobody
Okay,
you guys are tough, man.
All right.
No, you don't.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock. We need to keep on moving with our community presentation. We now have the Wake County Schools here tonight. They're supposed to bring us up to date on the Fuller Elementary and School construction. And then we got Larry and okay.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And appreciate if you'll stand over here in this part here since we are now doing time screening of our CSC.
Okay.
Are we taping it out?
Okay.
Yes.
If I had thought ahead a little more, I would have had a computer presentation in my hand.
No problem. They give us them handles. Okay. And I'd like to request that citizens please do not leave. We got one rezoning case we need to vote on before we close out. And so please do not leave.
Maybe we just have number 2 of these. Do that one. But we need to back Okay. I appreciate you giving us the time here to talk about Fuller Elementary School. My name is Larry Sherrill. I'm with the Facility Planning Department with the school system. And there's... All right, so again, my name is Larry Sherrill. I'm with the school system, facility planning department. We've got a number of people with us here tonight. Marcella Rory, my director, is over there. Shelley is back there. Up here, design team is...
I'm Keith Downing. I'm a landscape architect with CLH Design. We do the site design.
I'm Beth King with Davis King Architects. We're doing our architectural project.
And I am Michelle Schwentz with also with Davis King Architects.
Jeff O'Connell with Timmons Group. We did the traffic study.
Okay, thanks. I'll run through quickly, remind you all what's at the Fuller site now. I'm sure maybe you know it. I shouldn't assume that, I guess. But the campus consists of a group of buildings that have been built there over the years, starting in about 1961. And there have been additions 4 or 5 times since then. And over the years, there have been repairs and renovations. But given the way the shape the buildings are in now, we made the decision to demolish all of them and start over with a new building. So we hope we know that will address a lot of the building issues. And another issue we're trying to address, here's the school, here's Callaway Drive, Darby's down here. We know a lot of traffic backs up for parents come in to drop their kids off in the morning and afternoon. To alleviate or at least help that a whole lot, we're planning to build a driveway coming up from State Street, coming up that hill. It's kind of a steep hill, but this man has figured out we can do that. So that will do a whole lot to relieve what you've got going on all the way back past Hadley, all the way to Garner Road. I don't know, it's a big thing sometimes. When we get done, I should just turn this over to Keith here, but just to show you, this is the building. There are 8 modular classrooms there. When we're done, there won't be any of them, and we don't plan on having any in the future, as far as we can tell. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith and let him give you a little summary of the site and what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I try to do this in conjunction with Beth and Jeff here. We've all worked together to try and put all these pieces together. We basically got the if you've been to this site, there's some severe topography in this area. There's some floodplain and wetlands down in here, so we're really handcuffed to the same development footprint, if you will, the same outline. So we kept roughly the same size school. I think it's a little, is it
Same
Regina?
size school footprint.
So if you took all those singular buildings and kind of squashed them together, the new building is approximately the same size. So we're putting it basically in the same location as where the buildings are now, and that benefits us as far as earthwork goes or grading. We've not a lot of cut and fill operations. And Larry touched on the circulation. One of the things that we noticed most in working with Jeff is that this traffic backs up. You know, we were out there a couple of days, and the first thing we noticed is that needed to change. So we've been working with Jeff and the city, and we've decided to make a parent entrance off of State here. So the parent queue, the main entrance, will now be off of State, and they'll come up the hill, drop off at the front door, and circle back around and come back out to State. So the heaviest vehicular, demand will not be in the neighborhood anymore.
How does that affect the church and those houses that are on that?
Well, the traffic should be able to be contained on site, the main queue. At least the heaviest peak. The NCDOT is the school section, MSTA section, has done numerous studies throughout the area, throughout the state actually, and on schools of similar size and similar population, and determined the average queue length and kind of a 30% kind of increase on that, and that's what they designed to. And we actually went out and measured one day, kind of an average day, like the largest queue length, to make sure that would be contained on site. So that should be contained on site.
So
have the people been contacted, because we're going to have to build the road? So have they been contacted to know that construction is going to take place and, how it's going to affect them?
We have sent out notices to all the property owners within a certain linear footage of the property to invite them to come out to ask questions, and we are able to provide answers to those questions. And actually, that's tomorrow night over at the school.
At the school. You're welcome to come.
So for any project that's within the city of Raleigh limits, we come and we do a presentation to the CAC, which the CAC does the invitations and notices and the agenda for that. But then we also, our Board of Education requires that we have a public meeting and invite neighbors and parents, and we also meet with the students. So we invite all of those guys in to answer questions.
Then tomorrow night where?
At 6 o'clock at Fuller Elementary.
And Raleigh has instituted a new piece of site plan. When you submit a site plan, you have to send notification letters that you're going to be doing something with the site. So it's not just zoning anymore, it's site planning. This happened like a month ago. So Raleigh is changing their review requirements as well. So yeah, going back to the queue, this road here actually has two lanes coming in and one lane going out, and that's to get all the traffic per the NCDOT calculator and studies. You have this many students, you need to have this many linear feet of queue on site. So that's what that main drive is for, and to get it out of this community. And with changing that, Darby Street is real thin as well, and we've had bus and service on there for a long time. Well, we've decided to put them on Callaway because that road's a little wider and it can accommodate that, and the school system can control the bus because they're employees of the system, so they can kind of control how they come, how they drive, and what's happening. So the bus and staff actually enter off Callaway, and the bus will come in, drive around, and go back out. So they can actually load this whole length from here all the way around it here. Then there's some special needs vans and some private transportation that actually can peel off and do some drop off in this area here and not get mixed up with the bus. So we're trying to make everything, trying to reduce conflict, whether it's pedestrian conflict, vehicular conflict, use conflict. And the third thing is we've made this strictly staff and service. So the only thing that's going to come off Darby now is the trash truck or whatever deliveries they have to this area, and then maybe kitchen staff that comes in to serve the kitchen. The other things that we've done with the site, right now there's no stormwater controls because built years ago. Now we have stormwater controls that we have to look at. So we're having like rain garden bioretention areas where they can also be used for learning centers, have some platforms, trying to integrate the stormwater with the education programs. And we're also locating like the K2 play, the kindergarten play areas with the kindergarten areas associated with the building. So we want to get the outdoor program associated with the indoor program. In the field, in the play areas, the bigger kids, the 3-5, are the farthest away, and then we separate the K through 2 here. So we separate the older and younger kids, but they still have supervision. Staff still has supervision, and then the measured mile track. And we also have fire code. We got to have fire access to all points of the building, and it'll be sprinklered. And I'll let Beth talk about this, but the one point of access with secured vestibules and a lot of good things.
If those buses are coming off of Callaway going up the hill, at the corner of Callaway and Hatley, there is a bunch of tree obstructions right there where those buses have to cross Callaway and Hatley, and I can sit on my porch and see sometimes people almost run into each other because of those trees and that debris. So have they been looked at as far as that's concerned? Because there has been more than one wreck right there at that corner.
Well, when I was out there, and I don't know, Jeff, if you looked at it much, it wasn't so much the trash and debris, but I think it was stopped on 2 ways. So there's through traffic. It appears to be a 4-way intersection.
It is now, but you still have.
It is now. Okay.
It is still now, but you still have those big trees right there at the stop.
Yeah.
Sometimes those
you may
trees
have
come right on past
to.
those
You may have to
trees.
call zoning or the city, and if it's a problem with
It
sight
is
lines, and if it's within the sight triangles, then zoning and the arborist can come out there and remove that plant material.
So you're putting that back road through a wetland?
No, the wetland's actually in this area over here. This actually, I don't know if you can read contour lines, but this is actually the highest point of this whole length. So this is a high point and it falls away on each side. So that's why it's located
It's a
where it
ridge?
is. Yeah. You say it's a ridge, but it's a mound. So.
A berm?
Yeah.
What is, I mean,
Yeah, it's the higher point of, if you go from this property corner to that property corner, that's the highest point.
That's gonna create a problem for the wetlands. I can tell you that right now.
We've already had them delineated, and we have, see this device right here, it's a stormwater device, so we have to control the stormwater per the new phase 2 requirements in city code.
So that point right there is going uphill or downhill to the school? Where is the school, up or downhill?
The school's uphill, and it
school
goes
is-
all the way downhill.
Okay, so the school is uphill, and you're creating more impervious surface, and that little area is gonna contain it?
No, I have a stormwater basin here, a
You have
stormwater
wet,
basin
you have,
here,
you
and a
have 2
stormwater
rain
basin
gardens.
there.
You have 2 rain gardens and this right here. So you've created, it's gonna still be an issue because you have created more surface, but you haven't contained it. You haven't contained the runoff.
We're containing them in the stormwater devices. And
okay.
we use a
You
calculation
say
method
so.
because there's existing impervious on the site. So we get credit for that existing impervious versus our proposed impervious. So when we measure it, the net impervious may be minimal.
Okay, those.
There's no stormwater control today, 0, and we are giving you 3 stormwater basins with almost the same amount of impervious. So we are controlling the stormwater, and we have reviewers from the state and the city, and they got a book that's about that thick of all this math that we have to go through.
Okay, I question that, but I question that, and I think you should bring that before the community because you're gonna have a flooding issue. But, I mean, if you say it's gonna work, then.
Well, there's no stormwater control on that site today.
Right, but you don't have that road coming through there and some other things. There can be no stormwater today, but you have a wetland that you're coming.
All the impervious today from this site runs down here uncontrolled. When we're done with this, stormwater will be controlled in 3 places.
Bottom line, they've already mentioned there's a meeting tomorrow night.
Okay.
You're concerned about go to a meeting so we can go ahead and get through.
All right.
You're supposed to be going up too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So you're taking the
Okay.
Have y'all been in contact with the Partners for Environmental Justice group?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think this young lady is a part of that, and that's sort of, what she's bringing up.
Yeah,
they're having a meeting tomorrow night at the school. So that's why I invited
if
her.
you want me to bring the Army Corps of Engineers
Well, I
delineation
think
of the
we should have a
wetland and the
report or something to
floodplain.
let them know that it's not gonna be a flooding issue there. Or just something, it doesn't have to be anything big.
At schematic design, it is not designed. There's no hardcore engineering at schematic design. There's phases of design, schematic design development, 60%, 100%. And when we get to the 60% CD is when we start running the math and sizing those basins. We've been doing schools for 25 years or so, and we have multiple schools in Raleigh and all over Wake County that we've done, and we do this every day. We have to meet these requirements. We have to stay out of the wetlands. We have to stay out of the streams. We have to provide TCA for the UDO code. I mean,
Miscalculations happen all the time, so you don't have to give me your credentials.
I understand. I mean, that's why we have a seal, and we're.
If I could interject for one quick second, in addition to all of the folks that work on that team, we literally have to submit to multiple groups, including the City of Raleigh. They have planners that review in addition to Department of Public Instruction, State Insurance. I mean, there are a lot of other groups that will review, and basically they're like a check and balance. So we go through that process to determine what should be on the site, but we have additional people that check behind us that can also make comments and make recommendations and so forth and so on. So it won't just simply be, well, we just decided this is it and this is going to fix everything. There are folks that actually come and review behind us, and they don't just do that at Fuller, they do it at every project that we work on. Because we want to be good neighbors. The last thing in the world we want to do is come back and plan to provide a beautiful school that, again, either no one can park at, that no one can reach, or that the streets flood and you have an issue getting there. We do not want to cause an issue because we're going to be there for, we've been there for over 50, 60 years now, and we'll be there for a long time in the future.
It takes 9 to 10 months to get through a review and get a permit. We got planning and zoning and urban forestry and traffic and water and sewer and state erosion control, and sometimes state DOT gets involved. So there's regulatory review all over every project that we do.
I understand. I know that this is not that far from the Walnut Creek Wetland Center, and I know that they're getting ready to do a new project at that wetland center. And so I do know that it's already in the wetlands.
Yeah.
So that's why I was...
Yeah, there's no question. That's a low-lying area. This line right here is the 100-year flood.
Yeah, and they have a lot of flooding over there at that wetland center. Well, of course, it's a wetland center. Right. But the community that surrounds it has a lot of flooding.
But I will be at the meeting tomorrow night as well. If you have more questions in the meantime, we can leave our number and everything to either Mabel or myself.
What's the projected construction on this?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
The
you.
construction starts in...
We are
Okay. It'll be in design, like Keith said, for another year or so. We'll be working through all the design, getting all that worked out. And construction will actually start in February of 2021.
Okay.
And we'll reopen in May of 2022. And while the construction is happening, just for your information, the faculty and staff and children will all relocate to the campus that's near Garner High School. There's a modular campus there that we call it a swing space where schools like this can go. Any other questions about the site before we move on to the Beth Kim, Michelle?
Do we have time to address the building? I'll do it quickly.
Thank you.
As Larry had spoken before, we are demolishing the existing campus and building all new. We have not increased the footprint greatly, trying to keep as much of the natural and outdoor space for the kids as possible. So we do have a 2-story wing in this east-west direction. So this floor is above this floor. And maximizing the spaces that can go up there for students of this age. Some of them are not allowed to have classes on the second floor. So we've maximized that bar both for the classes that can go upstairs as well as the natural lighting that benefits from this orientation. So that was the function of laying it in that space. The other wing is a 1-story wing that has their primarily their gym and dining. This is a AIG and GT magnet school, so the kids have a lot of great opportunities for elective classes. They're not increasing the student capacity on the campus, but the building size is increasing, both because, as Larry said, those 8 mobiles are going away, so all those classes are coming inside, everything's under one roof. And with that, we are increasing the number of classrooms for those students so that they're not dealing with what they're dealing with now, which is trying to put multiple things in one space at one time, or they're trying to have media and piano class in the same space. But these students will have more opportunities for class spaces. The purple areas are new learning commons, which are supervisable from the classrooms as well as receiving natural daylight. So those spaces will be able to be used for breakout spaces for the students, small projects, small groups, and they'll be able to be supervised from the teachers that are within the classrooms. This will give us the opportunity to join the dining and play area, indoor play area, the gym, as most of the new Wake County schools have, to offer a larger assembly space. There's a movable partition that divides those space during the day, but it can be opened up for a larger assembly. They are introducing pre-K to the campus, which is also a new for this campus. And what Keith was asking me to address before, the single point of entry. Obviously, we've already improved the security by getting everybody under one roof, but now they'll have that secure vestibule where you have to come in, be buzzed into the vestibule. You only have access as a visitor into the reception area before you can access any of the rest of the school. The students that are coming by carpool will come in that entrance each morning, and the students coming in by buses will actually come in closer to the dining and play area. Anything?
What is it, brick or wood? What's the outside of that?
Do you want to speak to this?
Sure. So what we were trying to do with the design, and since our school is in a residential neighborhood, we want to create something that fits into the neighborhood while also standing out as a new school and being a place that the kids can be proud of coming to. And so we're using brick, which is a lot of the houses in the neighborhood are brick. Trying to use the same materials, and also knowing that we're close to the wetland center, trying to bring that material with us as well, since we're trying to make this school a place that where kids go, they can also learn about the wetlands. So we're trying to make the front entrance a little bit more stand out, use a material that is similar to wood but will not weather as easily as wood. And also using the glass to bring some natural daylight in, which is what the kids really requested for in a visioning session we had earlier last year with the children, the teachers, and the staff.
Okay, well thanks. I can tell you this is a big project. It's a big commitment to improve the neighborhood. I just saw the principal back here. Sorry, Kendra Culberson is. Hey. Thanks for coming.
Please come tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. We would love to have you.
This is a big commitment to the school system and the neighborhood. The budget for the construction is $32.3 million. And at this point, we're a little over budget, like the gentleman was talking about earlier with his project, but we're working to get that back in line so we can proceed as planned. Any other questions we can answer for you? Yes, ma'am.
Is this a green school?
It will have hopefully it certainly will have more stormwater capability than anything now. And additionally, this is something we're exploring with the town, the city. They have a grant program that will hopefully help us enhance those stormwater facilities beyond just the minimum required facilities.
No, I mean, is this a green school?
We will design it to as much of the high performances we can do within the budget. Wake County Public Schools traditionally doesn't certify under LEED or anything like that, if that's what you're asking about. But we use the same principles and same scorecard as we're designing to get as much of the sustainability requirements in as we can in the budget.
One thing that we do work real hard on is the building envelope, the insulation, the way it's sealed up. The way buildings are made now is 5 times more weatherproof than it used to be. So that's something we take very seriously, and that's something we can afford and address to save energy costs there.
As many as you as possible, go to the meeting tomorrow night. We have a couple of items on the agenda. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Moving. Give it time to get there. All right. It's for your information. It's now 8:30, so we kind of need to move up a little bit on the agenda. I do need to.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Excuse me. Also, I need to bring up one item to you while we're waiting on them to set up for this one. And I got an email this afternoon, another business wants to put up ABC. They're putting in for an ABC business license. And this is ASA Foodmart 1827 Garner Road. Food business, fortified wine, under fortified wine, milk, and all this other stuff. And business hours, not after. But you know, we started out about 4 years ago that whenever they get this information from the special operations, they're supposed to send it to the CAC. And we either say yay or nay. I think we have this is just me talking, we have a lot of places here, do we need more? And that's a decision that you all have to make. So I'm going to bring it up I'm just bringing it up for a vote, that's it. Okay. And you decide on this. I will let our community, you want to do the vote on it?
Wait, what is it? Is it a store or is it a bar?
It's a store. I say ASA Foodmart.
So like a convenience store.
It's a convenience store. That's what it is.
A gas station too?
They just told me what it was here.
Where's it located?
1827 Garner Road. And that's right. Yeah. Where is that? I thought it was either when we come out. There's an ASA store right there where we make when we come out Garner Road going to the community center. Garner Road Community Center. And there's one down at the bottom of the hill. Right there, where the barber shop and the club is. Right there. Bailey Drive, okay, yes. So it's up to you all.
And this
I gotta
one
let
will be
them know.
located where?
1827.
Yeah, but where does that compare to the Bailey Drive store?
Well, she can tell you right here. This Dorset?
Yeah.
Where is this close to the Bailey Drive?
The one where the barber shop is Bailey Drive.
That's okay.
The one up further is Newcomb Road
Okay.
and Garner Road.
And so that one that we voted against the other year for no, now they're selling alcohol, so I'm trying to understand.
No, right. We give our views. There's nothing saying that it will be approved. They tell you that on this. Only thing about it, they tell me I got to notify them back in 7 days. Your part.
Okay.
Because they're going along with it. We don't have, another meeting. Okay. So, okay, as long as we have documentation, and it happens, we go back on it. You're right. It's been about 3 or 4 like that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, you got, remember now, you can have documentation on it. And something come along. No, wait a minute.
Listen up.
When I was on the city council, we did overturn and went back and told them to go back on.
Okay.
We cannot control the state ABC. Right. We cannot control them. But we can have our voice heard about it. That's the key. At first, don't forget they used to come in and do it. It didn't tell us anything. We can make, we have a voice on it. So now we need to, it's up to you all. We're going to let Pam do a count on the vote.
Okay.
All those in favor are going in and approve this ABC license for 1827 Garner Road, ASA, Foodmart 1. Do so by raising your hand. All those opposed?
Pam, I got 0.
All right, so put your hand up for me, please.
In their statement. Don't want to vote on it. 2. Okay. Did you count it up here? Okay. Okay. And I would notify Eric Hill tomorrow. He's the special operation code enforcement, and tell him I'll vote for tomorrow. What we did on this. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Now we have another short briefing. First of all, as we close out with this last one for the vote, we do not do campaign speeches. We had Caroline Sullivan here last month, and I just told you she was here, former county commissioner running for mayor. Tonight, you do the same thing you did with Caroline Sullivan after the meeting. If you want to meet, we have Mr. Charles Francis, who's running for the mayor of City of Raleigh. After the meeting, if you want to meet with him, stand up so you can sit there. Get back there, right? Okay? So you can do the same thing you did at the last meeting. But we do not have campaign speech. Okay? Let's close out with the rezoning vote. C-1219, they came in last month, gave us a briefing. Wanted to vote that night, but we hadn't notified you all. So we had them to come back tonight to give a final touch on it. And then we go ahead and vote on it.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Meeks. So my name is Ira Mabel. I'm with the City Planning Department. I know we're getting a little late, so I'm going to keep it short. I'm mostly here to answer questions. This is now the second time you've heard this case, and I recognize a lot of people, so hopefully we can get out before Parks is mad at us for staying too long.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just a really quick recap. The planning department manages the zoning code. So I'm part of the planning department that manages the code itself and when we change it or update it. We also have a code enforcement, to answer your question earlier, sir. They are on the other side of the 3rd floor as me. And so they do the enforcement. So with the number on your agenda, if you have a zoning enforcement to the planning department, you can say you have a zoning problem, and then it goes to the gentleman who supervises all those folks. I know it's real confusing. We have enforcement in 3 or 4 different departments, and it's hard to know who to call. I'll say, call whoever you want, and if they can't fix it, they all direct me. They're very good. Anyway, so I'm here because there's been a request to change the zoning for a particular property. So zoning, again, to be real brief, control is the law that says what you can and can't do with your land. There's a map, which is why we're here today, to change the map. And then there's also a long book with all the rules and the words, and called the text, that has all the numbers and uses and describes what you can and can't do, basically. So I'm going to go really fast. When someone comes to request a change to the zoning on their property, they have the ability also to add what we call conditions. So these are extra rules that they volunteer that apply only to that particular area that they're rezoning. So that is the case tonight, and I'll explain what those are in this case. So this is the property question. It can be a little hard to see with the diagonal lines, but this is Sunnybrook Road here. So 440 is up here, and 40 is over here, and Rockwater Road is down there. Currently zoned R6, so the R stands for residential. Basically all you can do there is houses. And the request is for a commercial zoning, again with a lot of conditions, so you can't do everything. But the applicant currently runs a summer camp, and, so wants to have that be allowed and make some improvements. So here's the aerial picture of the site. So it's this sort of L shape in red, and again the belt line and then 40 are here. And this is, I guess, Blue Ridge, whatever I said before was wrong. I have a little bit more close up. And the picture's going, so this is going south down Sunnybrook, and then sort of north up Sunnybrook, if that helps you.
Yeah.
All right. So some conditions. So these are extra rules that will basically become the law for this property. So can't be taller than 2 stories. There's a bunch of commercial stuff that can't be done, that would otherwise be done in the district that's being asked for, neighborhood mixed use. So we have different commercial districts that allow different degrees of activity. So a lot of those, the more intense uses are prohibited. So vehicle sales, bars, that kind of thing. Half the site has to remain open space. So I forget the acreage, but it's a pretty big site. 4 acres. Yep. Stormwater has to include some rain gardens or rain barrels. So there may be other things too to meet city code, but it has to be part of the plan. And there's also a condition that Diamond Spring Drive, which is this road here, so if the property is not being subdivided, meaning like developed for more than one use, then that's not going to get built. But there would be a pedestrian connection from here to here instead. So that's kind of a technical thing. I can answer more questions about it, but I'm going to give the applicant time to talk to. So rezoning, again, it's a request to change the law, so it's a public process. There are only 8 people who decide whether or not to do it, and that's City Council. But because it is a public process, there are multiple times where the public can comment. We are here, CC review, which is one of those times. The case will next go to Planning Commission for their review, and those are open to the public, those meetings, and then it'll go to City Council for their review, on the first Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. if you ever follow council for anything. And then that's where the ultimate decision gets made at City Council. So, still lots of time. The planning department has what we call a current development activity page. It's where every case in the department is listed. If you ever want to see the status, we update that every week. My name is next to this one. You can find it, it'll say Sunnybrook Road. It's also Z-12-19, which is the code. Should be on your agenda too. And with that, that was like 5 minutes, I think. I'll be here for the rest of the time if there are any questions for me. But I believe the applicant wants to say a couple things.
We don't have enough time, right?
Not for the PowerPoint.
Even like 1 or 2 slides?
Well,
okay. So we have a summer camp called EnviroKids Summer Camp, and what we do is we study the environment, and our camp
presently is 8 weeks long, and it is in the process. I think we're in our 3rd week right now. We work with at-risk youth between the ages of 13 to 18, and we do a host of things. But mostly what we do is we will use the resources of the city, the Research Triangle Park, and actually the state to teach our environment kids about nature. So if you go to the very first one, yeah, this for example is, so this is our environment kids last summer, and they were having a session at NC State, and they were being taught documentation because we went to the town of Princeville, North Carolina. That's the first black incorporated town in the country, and they use a virtual reality to figure out how to help Princeville create a historic trail. So they were learning how to document it, and that was Professor Kofi. And these are all the exercises that we go through. I'm not sure what I'm doing with this. So this is just exercises. They learn computer programming. This is a virtual reality experience that they had. This is actually in Princeville, and that church that they're standing in front of is the oldest church in Princeville. And you know, Princeville has flooded numerous times, and so they just kind of help Princeville out. We study at 2 educational forests, Clemens Educational Forest, actually 3 educational forests, Jordan Lake, and we study various things in the forest. They have a really good time studying fungus. We use the Biltmore stick, and they learn how to measure if you're going to do lumber. So they learn that. So we also study urban forestry, and the Oakwood Historic Cemetery is one of the best places to study urban forestry because they have some really huge trees. And they learn by using this machine how healthy the trees are. They continue to study with different types of tools about forestry. We are funded by the North Carolina Forest Service and the USDA. So we take them on summits. This is a summit, the STEAM Summit, and they study all about different science techniques, and colleges come, and so they get to talk to recruiters. They are 13 to 18, so a lot of them are almost college age or will be going to college next year. We work with the Wake Soil and Water Conservation Center and study the soil in the Research Triangle Park area, and we also study the soil, the coastal zone soil, and we were trying to do the mountainous soil this summer. This is a Firewise session. I mean, a lot of you don't know we do have forest fires. I didn't know it. I was like, we don't have forest fires, but we do have forest fires. We went to, it's near Wilmington, it's called Swansboro, and we studied at Hammock Beach State Park, and we went to 2 islands. And this is the Jones Island, which has trees, and we got back on the Batoon boats, and then we went and studied, that's Jones Island right in the corner. It has a lot of trees. Then we went to what's called Bear Island. It has no trees. So we studied the specimens there, and they really enjoyed that. You can see what they have in their hands. I would never touch that, but they enjoyed it. And this right here is at the River. So the Forest Service, the rangers, they give us a lot of sessions at different parks, and so they're dredging for specimens in the Eno River, and of course we got to get some funding. So we also study at the Walnut Creek Wetland Center, and we study the soil and the vegetation and everything. And this is just us doing our thing, testing water. Oh, this is one of the resources that people probably would not know about. Bear Aspen has several huge greenhouses, and they also have this bee tour. So they have a whole building full of bumblebees. And you know bumblebees get cancer? I didn't know that. Yeah, and it's actually putting the bees in danger. So this is them at the bee center, and of course there's the lady with all the bees in her outfit. And we have a poet that works with us so that they can learn how to do poetry and rap and read and all that during the summer. So we go to a lot of different gardens, and this is our site, and they are actually planting the garden on our property, which is the one we want rezoned. They study bugs. We go to the museum, and that's the end. It's really quick.
Thank you very much. All right. Appreciate you bringing it back. Bring us up to date. I'll let the Pam do a vote on this rezoning for Z1219. And all of those in favor of this zoning, do so by raising your hand. All those opposed? All those abstain?
Congratulations.
So, congratulations, you got 19. Okay. All right. Just a couple of, just one more announcement. Don't forget, next month we do have our vacation month. We do have our vacation month, so we'll be back in September. And it's for one of the officers to come back next month. If you need anybody to meet you over here, we'll come. Okay.
But the next meeting is August 12th, isn't it?
We just we got a new person on board here. We're gonna let him take you out. We're gonna let him take you out with. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We want you to make sure that you do the things. Don't forget we talked about. They told you who to call if you plan on having the National Night Out. Please do that. Things, and I think everybody got a copy of this. Now, on this, I told her, she said we might get a credit. Why can't we get a credit and just keep these? That's probably what is going to happen anyway. And we want to thank the person that's doing our filming for us. He's doing a good job with it with the demo. Give him a hand. Okay, we do not have any of that. Don't forget. I think, as we stated, Mr. Charles Francis will be out in the lobby because we need to take down these chairs here. So you all need to meet him and think whatever you all want to do, you can do it out in there, and they'll be out there to meet you all and talk to you. Appreciate you coming. Have a safe.
Don't forget to sign in if you haven't done so already. Please sign in outside.